mini catalog today, and on page 15 is where you will find the Smootch Spritz, the color catcher, and the Presto pattern specialty paper, and all three of these products is what I'll be using. What you'll see here is just white cardstock with glossy print, and in the catalog everything that is shown in gray is what actually comes off as glossy on the paper. So anything gray here is really glossy. So it's kind of like mystery paper. You don't see the print until you've added your ink to it. So whenever I am cutting 12 by 12 cardstock, there's just a little tip to help preserve your cardstock and get the most that you can out of it. Rather than cutting 4 1/4 by 11-inch pieces of the cardstock, I cut them at 4 inches. And that way you can get 3 cards to a piece of 12 by 12 cardstock instead of just 2. That 1/4 of an inch makes a huge difference. If you had cut 4 1/4 and 4 1/4, there wouldn't be enough for another card. Alright, so you are going to start by folding the cardstock in half. And I use a bone folder for this. I'm going to take my River Rock Classic ink, and this is an old color that is making a comeback. This ink was in color several years ago, and it's going to be coming back in the new color renovation that will take place on July 1st. So when you're inking up your brayer, you're just going to want to make sure that you do lots of inking back and forth on the ink pad so that you get a nice evenly distributed ink across the brayer handle. And another tip here, make sure that if you can see, I'm picking up the brayer and going back to the top of the ink rather than going back and forth like this. If you're going back and forth like this on the ink pad, there's a whole half of the brayer that's not getting the ink on it. So you want to make sure that you're getting full rotations with the ink on the brayer. And so as I brayer over this cardstock, the image is going to be slowly appearing from the background. And what this is whatever was glossy on the cardstock is resisting the ink, and the ink is dyeing what was white paper. So now I'm going to go through with my corner rounder punch. And when you're using the corner rounder punch, I just make sure you flip it upside down and go into the punch this direction. And with this particular punch, there's a 90-degree angle little lever in the corner, and you want to make sure that the corner of your cardstock is completely in that leveler so that you get a nice good snip. If you don't angle this properly and you don't get the corner of the cardstock all the way into that angle, you will get a really funny looking corner, and it's really hard to fix that. So you want to make sure you get it right the first time. Alright, now I'm going to go through with the color catcher. And the color catcher is not a gimmick. You want to make sure that you invest in this when you're using the Smootch Spritz. You can see this is the back side of the color catcher. It's nice and pretty and craft, and this is the inside after just a few uses. So you don't want this to become your table. The spritz really does get everywhere. So I'm going to take my card and lean that up against the back of the color catcher, and then I'm going to take my Smootch Spritz and I'm going to shake it up, make sure I get those particles mixed in, and then I'm going to hold it 6 to 10 inches back and spritz like so. Now these if you don't shake up the Smootch Spritz and you find that you have clogged it, all you're going to do to unclog the spritz is take off the lid. You'll just unscrew this nozzle, and you're going to just submerge this entire thing from here up, from right where the hose starts to connect up. You're going to submerge that in all-purpose household cleaner like Windex, and just soak it for about 20 minutes, and it'll unclog it, and then you'll be able to put it back in, and it'll be good to go for the next time. Here is my piece of cardstock, and you can see how the River Rock has already blended better, and the River Rock color also really changes as it dries. It's pretty green when you first stamp it, but the more time it has to absorb into the cardstock, the more khaki it gets. So this is a piece of satin ribbon, and I just love working with the satin ribbon. It ties really nicely. And this is also featured in the Summer Mini Catalog. We had it during the occasions, and it's carried over to this summer. We also have white satin ribbon in the main Idea Book and Catalog. So give that a nice tie, like so, and trim those ends. So the next thing that I'm going to be doing is stamping a greeting, and I'm going to be using the Watercolor Trio stamp set that comes in the Summer Mini Catalog. And I have mounted the From the Heart greeting onto a clear block. And I'm going to use chocolate chip ink. And one thing that I really like about these clear mounts is you can take your stamp and put it in the corner of your grid paper and figure out really quickly what size paper you want to trim by lining it up in between these grid lines and then saying, okay, well, you know what, that looks like 1.5 by 2 inches would be the perfect fit for it. And then I can cut a paper that's exactly that size without having to stamp this first and cut around it. So I'm going to ink up From the Heart, and I'm going to stamp that on white. And the photo of this card that you'll see posted on my blog at allystamps.com actually says Wonderful Mother. This card I originally had made for my mom for Mother's Day, but I didn't need another Mother's Day card, so I chose to put a different greeting on this sample so I can send it to somebody else when it's done. And I'm just using the corner rounder on all those corners, again being careful to make sure that the points of your cardstock line up in that angler, like so. And then I'm going to attach that to the card with some dimensionals, and I'll peel off the backings and stick that right over the satin ribbon to help it anchor it down, like so. The next thing I'm going to use is the filigree brads. The filigree brads, any of our designer brads you can earn for free this month during the month of May. It's National Scrapbooking Month, and there are a bunch of stamp sets or My Digital Studios that you can purchase. And with the purchase of that listing of stamp sets, which you can view at allystamps.com, you get a free package of designer brads of your choice. So this is just one of the packages that's available, and this is the filigree brads. And I have used up a lot of these. You get 32 pieces. You can see that there's very little left in my container, but this is the small size filigree, and I don't even have the large size, any of those left over to show you. This is a flower from the Pretties kit, and I'm going to put my filigree brad base, the brad through the hole of the flower, and close that to just jazz up both the flower and the brad. And then with the mini glue dot, I'm just going to put 2 mini glue dots behind this flower, one on each side of the designer prong, and these mini glue dots are perfect for accessories. They really help secure accessories to your cardstock so that they don't fall off, like so. And the card is done. So that is a card featuring our Presto pattern specialty paper, the filigree brads, which you can receive for free this month, the Smootch Spritz, all that good stuff from the Summer Mini Catalog, and you'll find a complete supply list and ordering item codes for all these products at allystamps.com.